Okay, so I think we will start our events now since we have most of our attendees already and our speakers are here. So hello, good morning from Lisbon. Welcome to our event today and thanks for joining us. I'm Sinyee, the representative of Globevisa Portugal, and I am very glad to have this chance to introduce our Golden Visa program to you. I know that everyone joining today's event was invited by consultants. If you have any unanswered questions after today's sessions or would like to learn more about the programs, please feel free to reach out to your consultant. If you don't have your consulting yet, you can register through the screen, the QR codes from the screens here, and we will assign the dedicated consultant to provide you with more information and some relevant materials. Today, we've also invited David, Senior Immigration Lawyer in Portugal, and Marcelo, Project Director from Mercan Group, to share information with us. Hello, David. Hello, Marcelo. Let's see if you can say hi to everyone.
Hello, good morning. How are you, Sinyee?
Yes.
Thank you for the invitation to be here. It's a pleasure.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure, like always.
Okay, thank you so much. And in this session, we'll be sharing information regarding applying for Portugal Golden Visa through fund investment. Should you have any doubts, please feel free to drop your questions and we will answer them later, because at the end of this session, we will have a specific Q&A sections to be able to answer any questions you might have raised. To begin, please allow me to briefly introduce Globevisa to you. Globevisa Group was founded in 2002. We offer services on different immigration programs selected by our teams. We have currently more than 50 offices all around the world, and we have served clients from more than 100 countries and regions. We are running more than 300 programs covering major cities in Asia, Americas, and Europe. We are dedicated to realizing relocation dreams for people all over the world. Specifically for Portugal Golden Visa, we have successfully assisted over 2,000 families, with our fund investment program effectively supporting more than 460 families in their investment immigration journeys. Today, we're all here, mainly to introduce the Portugal Golden Visa program. The Portugal Golden Visa, officially the residence permit for investment activity, has become one of Europe's leading residency by investment programs. Recent updates aim to simplify the application process and enhance its advantages, ensuring the programs remain competitive and mutually beneficial for Portugal and its investors. With the updated regulations, applicants now benefit from a more efficient process that counts residency waiting time towards citizenship eligibility. Balancing investment opportunities with legal compliance, the program continues to offer a range of investment routes for obtaining a golden visa. Speaking of the regulations regarding citizenship eligibility, with David, could you please explain further on the citizenship requirements and its updates from last year?
Thank you, Sinyee. So about citizenship in Portugal, last year, we witnessed a big change in the citizenship process. As you all are aware, the citizenship program in Portugal at the moment, the residence process is being faced a severe backlog, and several of the investors investing in Portuguese program and also requiring a residence in Portugal have been required to wait for several times, in some cases 1 year, 2 years. Bearing that in mind, the former Portuguese government made an amendment to the citizenship law saying that now, for you to start your citizenship process, you don't need to hold an actual residence card for 5 years. So before, you needed to first to get your residence card, and only after you get your residence card, the 5 years would start to count. So the time you were waiting between the start of the process and the time you collect your card wasn't counting for the time to apply for citizenship. But with this new amendment, it means now that the 5 years for you to apply for citizenship, they start to count from day one, from the day of the online submission, from the day when you start the request to the process to your residence application. This means that in practice, after you submit your applications, the 5 years, they start to count immediately. And after 5 years of you start your residence application in Portugal, you will be able to apply for citizenship as long as you keep a clear criminal record, you have a valid residence card on that time, and after you have that valid residence card, you have come to Portugal 7 days every year. After you start your citizenship process, in about 1 year, you can get your passport. So in total, we are speaking about 6 years, maybe a few months more, for you to get your citizenship. Let's don't forget that you also need your Portuguese language certificate.
Okay, so as you mentioned that to apply for citizenship, investors will have to meet all those requirements that you mentioned. There's one of these is the language test, Portuguese A2 level certificate, right?
Correct, that is correct.
Yes. But sometimes I have clients asking, especially when they include the parents in the applications, they might be concerned that learning a foreign language for elders might be a challenge. In terms of do you have any suggestion for them?
Yes, of course. So first of all, the language test doesn't need to be something that scares you. The A2 level, it's a very low and a very simple test and level of Portuguese that you need to learn to apply for citizenship. The purpose of this is for you to prove that you have some attachment to the Portuguese culture. And one way to prove that is that you know something about the language. That includes your parents, your children, everyone applying for citizenship older than 18 years old. So there are two ways to get the citizenship process, the Portuguese language certificate. I'm going to call it the easy way and the hard way. Okay, so the hard way is a traditional way. You study the language, you have lessons, you practice, and then you apply yourself to do a Portuguese exam. If you got approved on that exam, they will give you the level and the Portuguese certificate that you need to apply for citizenship. Now, the easy way that you must be expecting for me to talk about. There exists another solution for you to have this language certificate without the need of doing an exam. If you attend 150 hours of Portuguese online lessons with a certified professor and with a certified school, as long as you be and attend all the lessons, in the end, they will give you the Portuguese language certificate without the need of do the exam. 150 hours of online lessons.
Okay, thank you so much, David. So I think these easier options for obtaining this A2 level language certificate will be very feasible for our investors because they only need to attend 150 hours online course. They go to this course, learn this language by a certified teacher from a certified educational institution. So I think if any attendees here, our clients here, if you have any doubts on the language itself, the A2 certificate itself, this might be a very good option for you. You just need to prepare for yourself some time to attend this type of course, and you will be able to have the Portuguese A2 level language certificate as well. Thank you so much, David.
You're welcome. Sinyee, let me just add another thing. After you start your residence process, you can do your lessons or the exam immediately. Because even after you get the Portuguese language certificate, even if you only need to use it 5 years from today, it will still be valid. It doesn't expire. So at any time of the process will be a good time for you to think about this. What happens sometimes is that investors or clients or applicants, they leave it to the last minute. And then when the 5 years are completed, they still cannot apply to the citizenship process because they don't have the Portuguese language certificate. So if you are considering on doing this, the sooner the better. At IAS, our office, we partner with public schools. You can reach out to Sinyee and we can provide you these services, trust services to get this certificate.
Yes, thank you for your suggestion, David. I also advise our clients here, if you are to choose this Portugal Golden Visa, aiming at citizenship after 5 years. So the sooner you start the course, the better. Because as David mentioned, the certificate lasts forever. It's not like some English language certificate, they have only 2 years or so validation. This Portuguese A2 language certificate lasts forever. It doesn't have a specific validation date, which is very good for us. Thank you so much, David.
You're welcome.
So in summary, like we just discussed, in summary, after 5 years submitting the Golden Visa applications, investors may qualify for Portuguese citizenship and an EU passport, facilitating border visa-free travel worldwide and the right to reside and work anywhere in the European Union. With a Portuguese passport, you can travel to 190 countries and territories without needing a visa. This is also the main reason why a lot of investors aim at having a Portuguese passport, aka a European passport. Furthermore, during these 5 years, the investors do not need to live in Portugal for too long a time, because residency requirement is also main concerns for most investors, that they have their main business to take care of in the home country. In this specific Portugal Golden Visa program, to renew the Portugal Golden Visa, you only need to be in Portugal 7 days per year, which is very, very low physical presence requirements. And speaking of these visa-free travels, I would like to invite him, Marcelo. Could you please share with us, as a Portuguese citizen, about some of your travel experience, since your passport have this visa-free access to more than around 190 countries and territories?
Yeah, so basically this document here, I don't know if you can see, yeah, allows me to travel visa-free to a lot of countries. Of course, countries in Europe, but as well in US. I don't need a visa to go to US, for example, and even in Asia, for example, because I travel very often to China, for example, I don't need to visa anymore just to go to China for 30 days, for example. And this also applies to countries from the Southeast Asia, for example, like Singapore, for example, is always visa-free. So it's very convenient to have the Portuguese passport in order to travel. Of course, you have still some countries, a few countries in the world that that you need to apply for a visa, but most of them you can just travel freely. So it's very convenient.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much, Marcelo. I believe to the US, to the UK, and to some Asian countries visa-free will be very convenient for our investors. Thank you so much, Marcelo. I believe until now, a lot of attendees in our event would like to know, okay, since you are telling me this Portugal Golden Visa is very good, 5 years to citizenship, but how will they be eligible for Golden Visa? So I would like to invite David here again. Could you please share with us the investment options for Golden Visa?
Yes, of course, Sinyee. So there are several ways to apply for Golden Visa in Portugal. As you are aware, since October 2023, the real estate option is no longer available, unfortunately. However, you can still get the Portuguese Golden Visa through other investment vehicles. One of the most popular investment vehicles at the moment has been investment in funds. The requirement for these funds to be eligible for you to apply for citizenship is for you to keep the investment in that fund for at least 5 years, the lasting of the Golden Visa program before you apply for citizenship. So the maturity, the lasting of that fund needs to be at least 5 years. The other requirement for this fund is the fund needs to have most of its activity focused on the Portuguese economy, and the investment portfolio must be focused in Portuguese established companies. And the other thing is that because of the change on the residence and the Golden Visa program, the fund cannot be focused on real estate investment. Other options are the donation. You can do a donation directly to an association with cultural or artistic purposes of 250,000 euros. Of course, this is not an investment. This is a donation. This means that you won't get any interest back or you won't get your money back. In the other options, you might get returns on your investment because you will be investing in companies or in funds or other products that will allow you financial proficiency. The other option also available, and that's been growing in recent investor options, is the option of reinforcing the position on an existing company and creating jobs on that company. So if you invest 500 and 1,000 euros in a company operating in Portugal that creates at least 10 jobs in Portugal, you will also be eligible to apply for the Golden Visa. There are other that you can see in Sinyee's and Globevisa presentation very thoroughly, other options, but they haven't been as popular as much, such as the 500,000 euros for research activities, or for scientific or technological purposes, but these options are the less attractive.
Yes, thank you so much, David. As you mentioned, nowadays, fund investments is considered the most popular one, investment options to apply for Golden Visa. Since you mentioned to us also there were some changes regarding the Golden Visa law, could you please explain further on this part? Like since the launch of Golden Visa, what have been changes regarding the law so that investors can be more aware of the options now? Because I believe some investors, if they have known about this Golden Visa before, previously before 2023, there were some other options that are still available, but no longer. Could you please explain further on this part as well, please?
Yes, of course. So let me give you a bit of context first. As you know, following the big crisis in the United States with the United States crash of the market stocks and the banks in 2008, Europe faced a severe crisis after 2010. Portugal was also affected by this crisis. And one of the ways that the Portuguese government at that time found a way to get more money into the Portuguese economy was to creating the Golden Visa investment option for residents in Portugal. So the purpose of this program at the beginning was to attract investors to investing their money to rehabilitate our real estate market, that at the time was facing struggles with short demand and very low prices on houses. The market was flooded. So as you are aware, Portugal and Europe, we step out of this crisis, the whole world, and things may move forwardly on a more favorable direction. However, we have now the opposite scenario. So not just in Portugal, but in all Europe, we are seeing a crisis in housing because houses has become so pricey, so expensive, that the governments, they made action to reduce the prices on houses in Portugal. One of the measures that they understood that would be effective on reducing the prices of houses was to end the possibility for Golden Visa investment in real estate in Portugal. Well, the truth is that the prices, they still kept rising because the Golden Visa was not the problem or one of the biggest factors to be considered. But the truth is now, since October 2023, the real estate option is not available anymore. Still, Portugal welcomes you to invest in Portuguese companies, to invest in Portuguese funds, because we still need your money, your funds, and your wealth to activate our Portuguese economy. And in exchange, we offer you a residence card. In the end, you get a Portuguese passport, which is one of the top 5 strongest passports, like Marcelo mentioned before, in the world, which also grants you the access to the whole Schengen European Union space freely for you and your family.
Okay, thank you so much for your detailed explanation, David. Actually, not only has the Golden Visa in Portugal changed its requirements over the years, the Golden Visa programs in other European countries have been through a lot as well. For example, Spain is closing its Golden Visa program in April, and Greece Golden Visa has just changed its requirements last year. Considering Portugal Golden Visa is still available for fund investment, we advise our clients to make decisions sooner so that their application can be protected under the current law. We Globevisa, as one of the largest immigration consulting firms, are also very cautious while introducing funds to our clients. To choose a fund partner, we always put our clients' needs first. The investment needs to be relatively safer, and the investment amount in total needs to be relatively cheaper. Today, with Marcelo being here, I would like to ask Marcelo, please, to introduce to us further on Mercan Group and the Golden Visa eligible fund.
Okay. Yes, of course. So first, a brief introduction regarding Mercan Group. So our company was founded in 1989. Okay, was one of the first companies actually doing business through immigration investments in the US. From the EB5 program, okay, during the 90s. So during that time, we helped a lot of people to get the EB5 on the EB5 program. And then in 2015, right a couple of years after the Portuguese Golden Visa program started, we just decided to establish in Portugal as well and start to work and investing on this program. So since 2015 until today, we have maybe 35, almost 35 projects in Portugal. Okay, they're all related on Golden Visa investments. Okay, we're talking about hotels basically, US as well. So until today, we have more than 4,000 clients for Golden Visa, which is more or less 1/3 of the total amount of the investors in Portugal for Golden Visa. So after the change of the law by the government in October 2023, so we're not allowed anymore to invest directly in real estate. So what we did was like what we always do, we just adapt our products. So we transformed that investment in real estate and on investment fund strategy. So instead of the client or the investor puts their money directly in the purchase of a real estate product, on these terms, they just need to invest in a fund that consists in 3 SPVs, in 3 companies of hospitality related business. So as you can see over here, so on this case, it is just allowed to the investor to do actually almost the same thing that they did before, but in this case, they invest in an investment fund eligible for the Golden Visa. So basically, we used pretty much the same business model, okay, that we used before, but in this case, we just used a fund that could be used in terms of hospitality companies, and then we can use that on the hotels itself. As you can see over here, the structure of the fund. So actually, us as Mercan, we also invest in the fund itself, just to make the investors more safe, basically, in terms of investing in a fund, because of course you have in Portugal you have pretty much options to invest in funds, but we of course we are kind of more adapt on the field that we can make the investors the safest possible. So we just invest 10% on the fund itself, and then we use the other 90% for the investors that are interested on the Golden Visa program to invest. So until now, we just launched this fund last year. Okay, it's pretty much 1 year ago that we start this fund. So until now, we have more or less probably 30 units available in terms of investing on this fund. So this fund consists, as I said previously, it consists in investing in 3 companies. Okay, of course they are related in hospitality management because we are focused on hospitality products. So there are 3 projects consisted on this fund. One of them is located in Gaia, in the city of Porto, and 2 of them they are located in Algarve, in the south of Portugal. Is also a very touristic place and consists in 2 kind of resorts projects. So the total amount of the fund is 140 million euros. If you compare to other funds, this is relatively a big fund in Portugal, but is going pretty good, and people are doing well in terms of try to understand what kind of fund is this, and the best way and the safest way for the investors to go through to the Golden Visa program.
Okay, thank you so much, Marcelo. Actually, since you mentioned this fund has remaining around less than 30 units, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and I've also noticed that you work with international firms. Could you please tell us where are the major nationalities of the clients that subscribe in this fund, please?
Yeah, so overall, all the clients we have for Golden Visa, like we're talking 4,000 and some investors, I would say like half of them they're from US, okay, because like Americans, they kind of understand a little better this business model, because this business model is a little bit kind of American thinking way. So for Americans, it's even more easier to understand the model itself. But of course, we have investors for all around the globe. Of course, we also have investors from China. We have investors from India. Of course, we have investors from Middle East. So basically, we have investors for, I think, 92 to 95 countries.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Marcelo. However, for the investors, for our clients, most of them are very concerned about the exit of the funds. Since your fund is a private equity one, could you please explain a bit, probably after 6 years, how should the investors exit the fund?
Yes, of course. So basically, the way that we did this fund was just related in thinking about the investor itself, okay? Because the investor, what they want is to get a passport, the citizenship, or the PR, the permanent residency in Portugal. So what we do, we give 6 years for the investor, because it's the time that he needs to get a passport, for example. So after that 6 years, of course, the investor doesn't need anymore to have investment in Portugal, so we can repurchase the units from the fund, okay? So basically, and straightforward, the investors, after 5 years, applies for the passport in Portugal, and probably 1 year later or 2, it depends of IMO processes, but in 6 years, once they have the passports, they can ask Mercan to repurchase the units. Basically is that. And the repurchase is 100%. So in terms, for example, investment of 500,000 euros, the buyback that is the way that we call it, it will be 500,000 euros.
Okay, perfect. This is very good for those clients that are very concerned about what will happen after 6 years or so. If there is a repurchase options from Mercan Fund, I believe these options will be very good for those clients who's very concerned about capital safety. As you mentioned that these funds, actually, we can consider that this fund is selling out soon, right? Because you don't have a lot of units, and since you work with international firms, not only us, so I see this fund will be selling out very soon as well. Do you expect to have another Golden Visa eligible fund soon?
Yes, of course. So we are estimating to close these funds probably in the end of March or middle April. Okay. So of course we have a new fund under development. I'm not sure yet if it will be so big as the first one, because this one is really a big fund comparing with other funds in Portugal. But definitely we are having new funds available, of course, with a similar kind of structure. So keep in touch with that matter. But definitely, we are developing a new funds coming soon. Yeah.
Perfect. Good to know. We look forward to your new funds. So I've noticed that a lot of attendees have left some questions in our chat. Let's see if we can answer some of their questions. So the first question, I believe it should be addressed to David regarding the Portuguese course. What is the cost of the 150 hours course?
Look, you will find different prices with different schools. In our office at IIS, we partner with Globevisa, and we offer different solutions, both with public Portuguese schools or with private Portuguese schools. If you want a tailor-made option with a schedule that better suits your needs, with a teacher just for yourself, the prices will go higher. But if you just enroll yourself in one of the existing classes and attend the lessons in their own schedule, you can get these lessons from starting 750 euros plus 23%. If you require more personalized options, the prices can go up depending on your needs and the time that the Portuguese teacher will need to spend with you, of course.
Okay, thank you. I believe David has answered your questions, but should you have any further, you need any further information regarding the course, feel free to contact the Globevisa office in your countries and region. I believe your consultant can reach out to us very soon, and we will give you further details on that course as well. The next question raised by the client is, where can you travel visa-free with the Golden Visa? And I saw David has answered the questions already.
Yes.
Our team can also check on the chat group to see which countries you can travel already with the Golden Visa. The link is available for everyone. The next question pending to be answered is that how long is it taking on average between submission and approval? I believe these questions should be addressed to David as well. And does the applicant still require a visa during that period to travel to Portugal?
Okay, so bearing the backlog in mind, IMA has started a new procedure to become the process and to transform the process in a more smooth and fast process. I would say that now, with the timings that we know now with this new procedure and from applicants that we are dealing already, if you start your application now, in about 1 year or so, you can expect to have your residence card.
Okay, and how long is it taking on average between approval and issuance of the cards? I believe it's similar questions to the previous one, right?
No, it's actually not. So let me. This is Walid Lian. So let me also answer to your second question. Yes, you still need to visit Portugal during that period, but remember, only after you get your first residence card. So let's say you started the process now and you only get your residence card in 1 year from now. On that 1 year, you don't need to come to Portugal because for all purposes, you are not a resident yet. Only after you have your resident card, only then you need to come 7 days every year. How long it is taking between approval and issuance of the cards. So the process is the following. You apply online, then the immigration office will call you to come for the biometrics. After the biometrics, after we submit all the needed documents to your biometric appointment, you can expect to have the cards, I would say, half a year, maybe less. Look, we have been on the past few weeks, we have been cases that get their cards and approvals after the biometrics in 2 months, in 3 months. We even had one case that it took only 2 weeks. So we can see that I'm at the immigration office in Portugal. They are really, really working way better than before.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is regarding the fund. Let's see if Marcelo can help us with this question. Is the fund backed by any type of insurance in case of any force majeure, like pandemic, like COVID, like war, that would affect tourism?
Okay, so in terms of that, it's very important to mention a couple of things. That the first one, all the projects we have, they are completely funded by us. Okay, so we don't have any kind of bank loans. So in terms of this kind of worst case scenario that could happen, okay, so there are several options for the investors. Okay, of course, the first of all, we have a cash flow just prepared in terms of the buyback payments. Okay, so of course, if this is not enough, like imagine that everyone wants to ask to buy back at the same time, which is pretty much impossible. But even if that happens, of course, we can have other kind of measures. So we can ask for loans in the banks, or can use in the last case scenario, even after that, like for example, the investors can keep the assets and can use the assets to sell it to other entities, for example. So in the terms of the safety for the investor, is pretty much secure, and even also comparing with other products that are on the market.
We have a client here interested about the repurchase option. So the client asks, do you have to invest 500,000 and then pay another 500,000 to buy it back after 5 years? How does the buyback or repurchase works?
So basically, when the investor asks for the buyback, okay, this amount will be returned to the investor after 3 months, probably, okay, between 2 or 3 months. So of course, even like for example, if the client is still on the 5 years of Golden Visa, and if he doesn't want to lose the program itself, he needs to invest in another product, okay? Because here the main point is to keep the investment for 5 years, of course. After that, of course, if he asks for the buyback, we just, in terms of time, like 2 or 3 months, we just keep the repurchase to the investment, but to the investor, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know if I answered the question.
And the ROI of the fund, return of investment.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I didn't mention that. Of course, the fund has a return annually of 2%. This 2% is pretty much fixed. And also, this 2% of returns can be used, for example, for the IMA fees. So in terms in overall, after 5 years, if you think like straightforward, you can use the returns to pay your IMA and Golden Visa fees, okay? And after the 6 years, you get your buyback, your repurchase of the units back to you. So after all, we can say, and I say it very often, that you can get the passports for free.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And regarding the question, where can you travel visa free with the Golden Visa? We have a client that not sure about where he can go or she can go with the Portuguese Golden Visa without needed a visa. So basically, with the Portuguese Golden Visa with this residence permit, you can do as we have on the presentation here. You can travel within Europe Schengen areas without visa. Currently, we have 27 to 29 Schengen countries. So within these countries, you can travel without needing a visa. And the next question, I would need David's help since the
Yes.
client wants to know that for the children that are now 2 to 22 years old, they will be out of education age within the 6 years. Okay, I understand. So clients probably have kids that are around 22 years old. Do they need to be within age only at day of applying or the whole 6 years?
Okay, that's a very pertinent question. Akram Nakla, thank you for your question. So, if the children are under 18 years old, the only thing that they need to provide is the birth certificate. If they are older than 16, they will also need to provide the criminal record. After they turn 18 years old, they will need to prove dependency on the investment. The whole purpose here is that you need to show that your children, even if they are older than 18 years old, they still depend on you financially for their study, for their education. So the purpose of this question, the purpose of the program is, if you can prove that during these 6 years, even if your kid is older than 18 years old, but your kid is still single, it cannot get married. Even if it get married, but then divorced, it's not possible to apply, even if your children it's divorced as your children, because once you get married, you don't get back to single, you get divorced. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that the easier way to prove this is to show that your children, they are in school, they keep in school, in university. It can be a license degree, it can be a master's degree, it can be a PhD. The most important thing is for it to be full-time. The most important thing is that you can show that you are paying for their education. These things, they always need to be evaluated on a case-by-case scenario. So the immigration officer that will be looking at your application needs to be convinced that, in fact, even if your children is 25 years old, let's say, or 26, is still in school or she's still in school, and you are the one providing for his or her education. Okay. Of course, during this process, the best advice in terms of immigration, it's recommended. So you must have a lawyer or an immigration advisor such as Globevisa who can give you the best advice in this regard. Maybe if your kid is already 24 years old, for example, and he will finish university next year, maybe it's too late for that children to apply under your application. This is something that needs to be evaluated case by case.
Okay, thank you so much, David. Yes,
You're welcome.
just as David mentioned, these kids that are having some special situations that are of age and still want to be included in the application, you can always address these questions to us, and we will try to understand better on your personal situations and give you a better ideas on every single one included in the application as well. The next question we see here is regarding the tax implication, the inheritance and income tax, etc. In Portugal, there is no inheritance of property tax, I remember. David, right?
Well, inheritance tax, there's not a general inheritance tax, so to speak. What exists is a stamp duty on the overall of your estate of 10%, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not a tax lawyer, but these are pretty much general questions. The general rule about Portugal tax is you only need to pay for the income you generate in Portugal. So let's say you buy a property in Portugal and you put that property to be rented on a lease. Well, the income you will get from this property, of course, you'll need to pay tax. But your income that you are getting from your own home country or from the country where you work, unless you wanted to, unless you change your tax residence to Portugal, because Portugal has some beneficial programs in terms of tax benefits, only then you will be taxed in Portugal. Otherwise, you won't.
Okay, thank you so much, David. And we have another client asking me, are there any health check requirements before getting residence permit? I understand this question because in some residence permit application in some other countries, they will always be required to ask to go for a medical check. But there's not the case here in Portugal, right, David?
So in terms of the access, you are asking about the access to the Portuguese healthcare system.
No, it's like before getting the residence permit, do they need to go to the hospital and do a medical exam and present?
Oh, no, that's not the case. That's not the case. Actually, I didn't talk about that. If you allow me, I can explain very briefly in terms of documentation what's needed. So you need to present the proof that you invested in one of the vehicles eligible for the Golden Visa. The funds, the donation, the investment in scientific activities, the investment in a company you created the jobs. You need to provide the documents to prove that you made the investment. The other document that you need to prove is your criminal record, because you need to have a clear criminal record to start the Golden Visa program. And the third document that you also need, of course, your passport, but that's obvious. It's also your tax ID from the country of origin. Your ID, like your citizen's card, your ID card, your tax card, your residence card, if you live in a different country, that's also be required. But that's for the main investor. Then you need to present the documents for the family respectively. So if you are married, the marriage certificate. If you have children, the birth certificate. If your wife, of course, she will or he will be older than 18, their criminal record as well. The birth certificate for the children. If the children are older than 16, the criminal record, the other documents that we mentioned. And you can also apply with your parents or with your spouse's parents. For that, you just need to provide your birth certificate to show that they are in fact your parents or your spouse's parents. And I believe that's all.
Okay, thank you so much, David. I believe your answer has already clarified the next question from our client, asking who can be added and what is the age of children. So who can be added, as David just explained, from all the documents needed, who can be added? You, of course, your spouse, your kids, and your parents and your spouse parents. Everyone can be included as long
as no limit.
Yes, as long as the dependents meet some requirements, like we were explaining before. For the age of children, if they are above 18, there will be specific requirements for them. They need to be single, they need to be full-time in school, they need to be financially dependent. So there are some specific requirements for kids that are above 18. Should you have any further questions on you and your family members, you can always address to us and we will help you to analyze one by one to see if everyone can be qualified. I have the next question that are sent direct to me, asking the exit of the funds. So like Marcelo has explained before, there can be a repurchase of the funds after 6 years, but the client would like to ask if there is any charge on that.
No, there is no any charge. Of course, if you exit before the 6 years, could be have a penalty on that of 20%. Okay, but after the 6 years, the repurchase will be 100%. And another very important thing to mention is if the investor wants to keep the participation units he can do it for 10 years, okay? After that, we will request the buyback.
Okay, thank you. And the next question are asking if tax. Okay, so like we mentioned, the 2% return per year. The client wants to know if there is any taxes on that. I believe it's tax-free on the 2% every year, the return of the fund.
It's not tax-free because, like I mentioned before, it's income generated in Portugal. So you are investing in a Portuguese fund. So this means income in Portugal. So this means that you need to pay the tax for this income in Portugal. You can do it two ways. The fixed tax fee is 28%, but you can pay in terms of IRS that will be graduated in terms of the volume of the income. The more income you have, the more taxes you will pay progressively. So this is also something that you must be planning with an expert tax lawyer that we also provide that service, and who can give you the advice after you reach out to Globe. But yeah, there are these options. But yes, it's taxed. You need to pay taxes on that income.
Okay, thank you so much, David. The next question, I believe, is addressed to me. Does the Golden Visa allow travel to 27 Schengen countries or 29? The thing with the Schengen countries is that we have 27, but we are planning to have 2 more. So eventually we'll have 29 Schengen countries. Are there any other options for investing in private fund besides the ones mentioned? Today we invited Marcelo from Mercan Group, and he is here to introduce his fund to us. If you want to find out more opportunities regarding investment, I advise you to contact to our Globevisa office in your countries and region. Our consultant will be able to answer more of your questions. And the next question is regarding the documents that David just explained. Regarding the complication level of opening a bank account, priority to making the investments. Okay, I understand. And David, could you please try to explain to us why is it so complicated to open a bank account in Portugal?
Okay, so it's not that complicated. We became famous about being complicated, but you'll see that, as you know, in Europe, everything is very well regulated. And of course, banks in Portugal, they also need to comply with all the European Union, the Central European Bank regulation. So what do you need to open the bank account? You'll need your passport. You'll need your citizen's ID or tax ID or residence card from the country where you are from or where you live. You'll need the Portuguese tax number. This is something that after you start the process, we can get to you in 1 or 2 days. It's quite easy to access. And then you need to prove and show the source of your income. Okay, so if you are working for any company, you'll need to provide a work certificate showing that you gain and that you earn enough money to proceed with this investment. If your funds are coming from investments you made in stocks, in real estate, in companies, whatever, you need to prove the source of your funds. So as long as you are able to prove the source of your funds very clearly, and to show that all these funds, they are legit, because all the banks want to make sure is that the money that you are using for the investment, it's clean and legitimate money coming from legit activities. And if after you provide these documents for the source of funds, if you provide a bank statement showing enough funds to proceed with the investment, we can get you your bank account open quite easily. Sinyee and her team, they are quite the experts on assisting you and advising you on these documents, of course, with our help as well. And she can tell you that in 1 to 2 weeks tops, we've been getting the bank accounts open. So it's not a nightmare. It's just 2 weeks tops.
Yes, yes. From our experience, the main point is just to give the bank the very clear idea of the source of fund. If that's clear, it's clear. The banks we're working with, they can give us bank accounts fastest as David mentioned, 1 to 2 weeks. If some complicated cases, they might raise more questions, but within 1 month or so, we can always have the Portuguese bank account opened. And I would like to address today's last questions to Marcelo. Is the buyback at the NAV at the time or flat 500,000 euros?
So the buyback will be exactly the same amount. Okay, that's why actually Mercan will profit with the project itself. So basically the amount will be exactly the same amount. There will be no interests on that. So will be completely the equal amount, 500,000.
Okay, so I think that's all for today's event. Thank you so much again, David and Marcelo, for joining us and helping us to answer all these questions. We sincerely hope that today's event will help our clients to better choose a program or countries to relocate the family. And to all who are here today, thank you so much for your time. Should you have any questions that are pending to be answered, you can always reach out to Globevisa offices in your country and region. Thank you so much again. Bye,
You're welcome.
everyone.
Thank you, Sinyee.
Bye. It
Thank
was
you,
a pleasure.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Oh, look, we have another last minute question, maybe.
Okay, I don't mind. Which one you prefer to answer, David?
I can answer. It's just I have to apply for a tourist visa in my country to come for biometrics. Well, if you have a passport that requires a visa to come to Portugal, it doesn't matter the kind of visa. As long as you are in Portugal and they allow you to travel, the most important thing is for you to be in Portugal. If you might need an invitation letter or to show the notification to come for biometrics in order to get the visa, this is common, and we can provide you with these documents to get the visa, no problem.
Yes. So upon receiving the pre-approval letters from IMA, it's relatively easier to get Schengen visa if needed for your nationality. Okay, thank you so much again. Thanks
Thank you.
all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.